JB, what's happening? Welcome. You're the first person to be on the old live stream. Welcome to the Wolverine Garage. Got the garage door open. It's such a nice day. So we'll work with natural light for a change. Damien, how the hell are you? The way I see it, you haven't rode motorcycle until you wiped one out. Some guys will argue that point, but yeah, you need to know that those gnarly teeth are out there. That makes you not want to visit them again. I crashed my Suzuki 550. It was a slow speed accident. I think it was 35, and I slid out on some gravel, and it was all my fault. I tried to maneuver. I should have just stayed straight on the gravel and ran off into the guy's backyard in a straight line and stopped the bike. Would have been fine. Nope, I tried to turn, and bike slid right out in front of me, and I did a face plant. Thank God I had my helmet on, full face. Always ride with a helmet. On the Valkyrie, I always ride with my helmet. Oh, I gotta turn that off. Now, yes, it is a semi-brain bucket, but it's still better than nothing. And besides, even the largest helmets, it squishes my face. But hey, check it out. Ooh. Yeah. And I got some sweet stickers on it too. I got the Clay Smith cams, Mr. Horsepower, and the Mooney's 1962 Bonneville Nationals. These are reprints. I got these at a motorcycle show. Iskandarian, world's fastest racing cams, Bonneville National Speed Trials. And then another like 1960 Moon Eyes Bonneville sticker. But yes, when I ride, always with a helmet. Cousin Mike, what's going on, my guy? 12 people in here. Holy wah. Nice. Turbo Tom, I almost didn't see you. Hey, Fox Dude. I'm related to Fox Dude. That's all I'm going to say. Fox Dude. Can't miss on that. Mr. Turtle. Turtle. So we know that JB took the trash truck out to a nice car show, and they that Studebaker was really nice, and that was really Dougster approved. I like Studebakers, but I think that might have been a Studepackard. Like when Packard bought Studebaker to keep Studebaker, or no, they merged with Packard to stay alive. And no, they got bought. And the Studepackards were kind of a weird thing because, yeah. Hit the thumbs up, please. So, today, for show and tell, I brought lanterns. Amongst other things, I love Coleman camping gear. especially the lanterns. I have like 50 lanterns. Yeah, I know. So I've got a couple specimens here that I want to show you. But first, they're so old that you know how the Coleman lanterns that we know, they have the pump internal to the tank. These ones are the first series, the quick lights, and the pumps are external. They're a second piece. And these things are harder to find than the actual pumps themselves, or the lanterns themselves. You always find lanterns, no pump. You get lost. Or you find pumps, no lantern. Two different sizes. This is an original quick light. Oh, this is like 1925. So this is about 100 years old. I have a really big one for the first series of Coleman from the teens. That's much larger than this and has a T-handle to really chooch up a lantern. But all it is a leather cup, and it just blows air. But this one's for a lantern, and this is like 100 years old. And this one is for an iron. Yes, an iron, a clothing iron. I have a gas-fired one. And this one's made of brass. This is made by Coleman. This is not. I don't know who made it, but they made it nice. And it also says on its thread-on cap, like a cigar tube, it says made in USA. No other marks, but made in USA. So there's the pumps. Let's look at the lanterns. I brought a Canadian and I brought an American. We've got the American first. Coleman Quick Light, 425. Now, yeah, that looks pretty haggard, doesn't it? It's 100 years old. What do you expect? But it looks like plastic, but it's not plastic. It's mica, M-I-C-A, which is a thinly sliced mineral, and it can take the heat. And there's the port where the fuel goes in and where I would pressurize the tank. And this one has, yes, you can hardly see it. Yeah, you can. See inside, see the loop? Yep, there you can. There you can see it. That's called a loop generator. And that's exclusive to the quick lights. So this, like I said, is about 100 years old, give or take. Either it is 100 already, will be 100, or is 100, was, or it has been 100, is 100, or soon will be 100. But runs and drives. I will not run it tonight, but yes, it runs and drives. Now, that was the USA. It says it on in Boston, it's top. Wichita, Kansas, USA. Now, the Canadian, which looks a lot similar. Oh, and does this one have tank logo? This one does not have a tank logo. Well, so much for that. The numbering systems are different between the Canadians and the Americans. That's a whole nother conversation for another time. And then here's our Canadian built one from Toronto. And there's the loop generator. If you look in the middle, there's the loop generator. And yeah, she's haggard. This one of them still has black ink, Coleman, because it was a Coleman made shade. And this one, brass top. This one is, yeah, this one's Canadian. Does this one have a logo? Oh, you'll never see it. Okay, embossed into, this is a brass tank. Oh no, you'll never, well, kinda. That whatever you see right there. Well, okay, anyways. Embossed into the tank is its logo, and it says Quick Light. And the other tank doesn't have it, but this one does. But yeah, there is my Canadian 425 and or Quick Light, and then you'll see the American. I have a Coleman lamp, an actual table lamp with a beautiful shade. I'll bring that out sometime. I've got, well, actually I got a couple lamps. I've got stoves, of course. Big single mantles for 35s. Slightly worn, yeah. Hey, you only wish you looked this good at 100. I have some that I bought that didn't even have globes, and there's a gentleman out of Ohio that makes replica globes, and they're right down to the letter like the originals. And they're last I checked, they were $85 each, but they're perfect. So if I had a little more forethought, I would have brought out all the other stuff and lit them up. Maybe I'll do that on another live. Definitely will light a lantern. This is true. This is true. As long as I got Coleman fuel. Got a generator too. Had a chance to buy a natural gas powered generator. Like power goes out and the power unit fires up. But didn't end up working out for us. But I was like, heck yeah, I want that. All automatic? Yeah. So, did anybody do anything interesting this week besides Damien? Not funny, I know. I worked on my bathroom again. I went to the hardware store. That's becoming a every Saturday thing now. Ran diesel on the blowtorch to get it really hot first. I have an old blowtorch and I need to replace one of the parts in it to pressurize it. But yeah, I got the torch and I have the old soldering iron, which looks like a spear, a mini spear, wooden handled, twisted up wire, and then it's got like a triangle point, looks like stone, and you've got a hook on the end of your blowtorch, and you're supposed to take that and hook it in there so it kisses the flame. So she's good and ready for soldering. That's old school soldering iron. Yeah, bathroom is, all other projects have been full stop. It's bathroom, project bathroom. Which sucks because I want to work on the way my mind works. I want to do everything but work on the bathroom right now. That's just the way I roll. So yeah, I got to stay on task. But the other thing is I only get to work weekends on it. So it's like you strike it hard on the days that you can work on it. Do a lot of prefab work ahead of time. But the paneling is all cut. Coperino, what's going on? My paneling's all cut. I just got to borrow the air nailer from Dad. And then I got to start installing the faucet and actually start like putting it back together. And then, I got to cut a hole in the floor for the drain. Michael Graham, hello. Easter dinner at my sister's. The Generac. Our neighbors are in the dark. Yeah, I wish we could have got our paws on that one, but didn't work out. Painted the ceiling. Nice. I got to redo the whole ceiling in that bathroom eventually. So, yeah, we're just taking care of what we need to take care of right now. Do it nice, do it right, and then we'll slowly work our way through the room. But yeah, the when we first moved in here, it desperately needed a roof, and that was like one of the, like I think we had a roof put. We bought the house. We moved in May, and I think late June or yeah, late June, we already had a roof on this house. So yeah, it needed a roof bad. And the Dugettes. We just hired. I'm no longer the only Doug at work. For right now, on third shift, there's another Doug. That's fine. I'll be Dougster. 777. When you know, you know. Fuel tank is out. Oh, yeah. So was it leaking at the intake? Where was it leaking oil from, Frank? Oh, I've been tinkering with my stereo, and I brought over. Justin is in the house. What's up, Justin? So I was tinkering with the stereo the other day, and I've got my big silver face Pioneer stereo in the living room, and we've lived here 6 years, and I haven't wired it up yet because I spend most of my time out in the shop. So I wanted to find a Sansui. I like Sansui stereo equipment besides Pioneer, and I got a nice Sansui receiver and a nice Sansui reverb amplifier for my stereo. And then I found a smoking deal on a Pioneer RG1 signal processor. So it's not Sansui, but that thing will make crappy speakers sound good. So yeah. So the old setup was that. Well, I took the equalizer from my big stereo. I brought it out here, and I'm currently trying to get that wired up. So the tunes are gonna rock even more. Doug's doing all right. Shipped Jeffro everything he needed for the 440 today. Nice. I think the China walls look like shit. Yeah, yeah. Let's at the China walls. Does anyone have an O? Oh. Oh no. No. Gotta have garage tunes. Yes. Yes. Garage tunes is motivational music, keeps Dougster on task. A happy Dougster is a productive Dougster, and tunes is part of the deal. And the better the stereo sounds, the happier the Dougster is. Oh, raw check balls. No junkyards in your area anymore. Boo. Guys, we got a killer one north of me. Not far from Dutch's place. Killer place. They haven't crushed out since 1974. And it's just wow. There's 10 e-bodies in there. You'd probably need all 10 to make one e-body and probably still need parts, but there's 10 e-bodies in there. There's all sorts of other just neato stuff. I think there's a 64 door Dodge Dart in white in there, and it's mucho cool. And it actually looks like a nice car. But I'm sure the whole bottom of the car's gone. Michael, do I have a hobby? Yes. Signs, cans, auto stuff, motorcycles, antiques, antique machinery, Coleman lanterns, records, vintage stereo, hot rod stuff, motorcycles. I've got many hobbies. I like things that go pow, things that propel lead downrange, lead propulsion devices. I like lead propulsion devices a lot. Can't see the bottom. But no 401k. Oh, license plates. I also collect license plates. As a matter of fact, from another live, I have some right here that I'll show you. These are porcelain on steel, 1913 Michigan license plates. So it's actually a clay from a specific spot in the South, like North Carolina, that is baked to make porcelain. And then, so I have two of them. And this is where the rusty spots are, is where the ceramic coating is flaked off. And then this is another 1913. No, it's not a match set. But yeah, they're pretty cool. Fun fact, the Michigan State Seal, they put it on our license plates before it was even adopted as our official Michigan State Seal. Yeah, I got all sorts of neat stuff in this garage. I also collect Hastings, Hastings memorabilia, Hastings piston rings. My mother-in-law works there, believe it or not. She packs your rings, people. Working in the original 110-year-old building. They're celebrating their 110th this year, since 1915. As a matter of fact, the yellow and black there, that is a steel painted chalkboard. And my friend's like, give us some chalk, we want to write on it. And I go, I don't dare write on it. Why? Because I'm afraid whatever's wrote on it will never come off of it. So yeah, I'm not going to write on the chalkboard. If it was a slate chalkboard, for sure. But it's just that whatever it is painted on there, no. So I got all sorts of Hastings piston ring stuff, including the tough guy, who's my little icon, the guy pointing, that's a Hastings piston ring tough guy. I have all sorts of different versions of him, including the original tough guy, which looks the one you know is friendly. This one looks like someone you don't want to bump into in a dark alley in the middle of the night. He looks like a tough guy. As a matter of fact, that there are Hastings air filters, new in the box. That is a Hastings flange sign. Whoa, other way. The yellow thing there has an exploited painted view of a oil filter on it. Also shows the guarantee. I can't bring you over there yet. I got to get a signal repeater, but basically I'm on the edge of the Wi-Fi signal. I know that's not a backdrop. This is actually my garage. But that shelf where those Hastings things sit, those air filters sit, that's all full of my Hastings stuff. I've got rings, I've got valve seals, I've got lubricants from K-Site, I've got ink pens, I've got window banners, I've got dealer stickers like you'd have on the shop window by the door, push, pull, Hastings K-Site lubricants sold here, welcome. Yeah, I've got a lot of hobbies. A lot of times I used to buy stuff that whatever tickled my fancy, bring it home, mess with it. But now I try to bring home stuff that's actually useful. I used to bring home whatever. Find all sorts of neat stuff. I've got this huge battery tester here to my left, and it's from the 50s, and it's actually really heavy. And I gave $7 for it at a motorcycle swap meet. Collecting only. Someday I'm going to have a bitchin' auction. But that'll probably be when I'm an old codger. Yeah, most of the time I collect just to collect. I narrow it down to just a few things instead of everything. So lately it's been speed parts, like heads and intakes and all that stuff. I want to get that truck of mine up and going. And then once the truck's up and going, then it's back on the CBX and get that done. The reason why the CBX is waiting is because she is a cash-hungry little girl. It seems like everything you do is expensive. Well, it is. But hey, like I got a performance alternator for it. The most trick speed part I ever bought. I paid $800 for the performance alternator for that because of the goofy way that Honda set up the alternator on the CBX. Is essentially it has a clutch and it disengages the alternator under high RPM load, because when they ran a direct drive alternator and the CBX spins to 9,500 RPM, that it was breaking the input shafts off of the direct drive charging system alternator. So what Honda's solution was making a clutch that disengages at certain RPM. It'll disengage. Under a certain RPM, it engages. And it has two big brushes, like they go on like a starter that ride on that thing, and those tend to go out a lot. So it's a beautiful day, you're out on your CBX for a great ride, and all of a sudden, like, it's so bad, the CBX is one of the very few bikes that actually had a amp meter on the dash. So to show you how nervous they were of the charging system. So I bypassed all of that. It was known for failure. So, and then goes to zero. And you can't do nothing until you get home and tear apart the bike. So, yay. So I got a company that actually takes a Kawasaki alternator, and then they retrofit it and make it auto billet and everything all polished. And then that is a bolt-in replacement for the CBX. And it is the chromey bit that's circular right there. It's got CBX engraved into it. Yeah, I paid $800 for an alternator for a motorcycle. I also, at the time, was working 84 hours a week. But yeah, I want to get the CBX up and going. The CBX is getting a suspension upgrade. It's getting a huge brake upgrade. I'm running the original style CBX wheels that I polished out, and look at Marvy, and the paintwork is exquisite. So I actually need to get a lot of work done on that. I have to get the suspension put back on it, and then to access the carburetors, what I end up having to do is the engine bolts in. The frame for the engine looks like this. It bolts back here, and then the tappet cover, there are points that mount it. So it's open from here to here. So the best way to access, and there's no real good way to get the carburetors with the engine in its normal locations. What you actually end up doing is you take all the bolts out the rear except for the big pin, the big one at the bottom. You jack up the engine carefully. You take all this out, and then you tilt the engine down, and that will lean everything forward, and you just pull your carb set off. So I gotta have my carbs rebuilt, 6 carb bank, and they're in a V formation also. And so I got to get all the carbs rebuilt. I've got a carb kit ready for it, and then get that put back together. I'm going to replace the boots when I do that, and then put it all back together. And I have to adjust the valves, which is a humongous job, because they have shim buckets, and basically there's a coin that sits in on top on the shim bucket. So you have to go through, make a map of everything, take your tolerances, and then look at your sheet, and then is this acceptable or not acceptable? No. Then you look in the sheet, and you need to replace with, to get this measurement, you need to replace with this shim. Okay, take this shim and you just pop it in. And, well, not just pop it in, but you set it in the slot. It looks like a coin that sets in its own little slot. And then I gotta adjust all the valves, and then ride. I got a awesome Russ Collins 6-into-2 exhaust for it. So basically 3 pipe header on one side, 3 pipe header on the other. And it actually says RC Engineering on it for Russ Collins. Russ Collins he did drag racing too, but he was famous for motorcycles. Yeah. Yamahas are nice. Yamaha made a 2-stroke 4-cylinder V4 750 back in the day as a dirt track bike, an oval dirt track bike, and that thing had to have been an absolute monster. And I think that is the same engine that Yamaha later used in their VMAX snowmobile. Was that very same 750cc 4-cylinder 2-stroke. They were gnarly as snowmobiles, and I've only heard of them as motorcycles. Man, that thing had to have been fast as frig. I like the old 2-stroke stuff, like Kawasaki triples, the 2-cycle triples, the S1s, the S2s, H1, H2, H3, the 750s. VMAX motorcycles are nice. They're really nice. They're brutes. They're brutes. Yeah. And they were like like you look at like a 90 VMAX or a 91 VMAX, and they look like spaceships. And like an 80-something Phaser is a really cool bike too. That Phaser's it's an inline 4, but the cylinder bank is laid way forward at a real funny angle. Yeah, the Phaser's a beautiful bike. Yeah, I've got a Honda Valkyrie. I've got a 72 CB 750. That was my father's bike. This Valkyrie used to be my dad's bike too. I bought it from him. He gave me the CB 750 and then the CBX. So yeah, we've all had to let it go. It sucks. Like a friend of mine has been wrestling the idea of getting rid of his 79 Ford F350. And I said, don't get rid of that truck. And most of the time he just wheels and deals his stuff, and I don't protest. It's his stuff. But he's like, yeah, I might sell the 79. I'm like, don't sell the 79. You'll never be able to replace it. Yeah, I know. I'm like, just keep it. Everything else I don't care about. motorcycle. What was it, last Friday? It was a mid-90s Chevy extended cab long box dually 2-wheel drive in light silver, and it was slammed right down to the weeds, sitting on semi-truck wheels and little rubber band tires, and the guys were cruising, jamming to some tunes. It was nice. Not totally my flavor, but it was pretty nice. Cruising ain't a crime. Right, guys? Take care of my empty. Be right back. Well, you lucky folks, you don't even know it, but you're sitting right on top of the beer fridge / pop fridge. Yeah. I know this is going to sound silly, but it's true. I had an 83 old station wagon that I bombed around in the early 2000s. And I bought it off of my Scoutmaster, of all things, my childhood Scoutmaster. So I rode around in that thing a lot when I was in Scouts. It was an 83 Olds custom cruiser wagon with a 307 and a 200 R4. And it was medium blue with dark wood paneling, and had the smooth Oldsmobile hubcaps on it. And man, that car actually was great. That 307, it wasn't rotating the earth, but it wasn't slow. So that's what I was surprised with, is that little 307 Oldsmobile did really good. Very much on the regular that the Har would do 100 mile an hour. And I bought it. It had like 225,000 miles on it. And I think I put I think it had over 300,000 on it. The old man, because he was the local optometrist, he only drove his car across town to his office. So it only got a couple miles put on it a day, if that. So he always changed, except for scout trips and scout business and all the other stuff he did. But yeah, a lot of times he just drove it short trips across town. So he always changed the oil. He was a stickler on maintenance. Always change oil every 2,000 miles on that Oldsmobile. So yeah, that thing ran great. That was a car that I ended up selling, and I know, a station wagon, but that was a great car. It was a great riding car. That was the best part. The car was just, it was a hammer. It was cheap to fix, and it rode awesome. Nobody else liked it. I didn't care. So what's happening in everyone else's world? Anything interesting? I am in Buff Del Campo. Dutch, what's happening? I am in, Michael, I'm in Michigan. I'm in Southwest Michigan. And yeah. Well, welcome, Buff Del Campo. Now we have full stash power here. It's Kim and Buff. Yeah, for scale, Michael, I'm about 2.5 hours away from Detroit. So Detroit's still a hump for me. Yes, Buff, I cannot wait to see that car done. It's going to look awesome. A friend of my father's, John, he did a buggy out of sheet aluminum when I was a kid. And it's still out there. Someone has it, but I haven't seen it in forever. And that car was actually really cool. And John made the whole thing in his garage. Really square, but it was actually pretty cool. Yeah, I if it is what I got in my mind's eye what it's going to look like, it's going to look cool. Detroit. Detroit. Up there in Detroit. In Detroit City. Nice. Well, I see the short where you're going to keep that rear section for like the suspension and the seatbelt points and everything. So, what do you guys do to guard against dissimilar metals when you're laying aluminum against steel? Is there something that you put as a barrier in there, or do you just let the dissimilar metals be dissimilar metals? Yeah, it's pronounced Detroit. My dad talks about when he first got into driving truck, he drove hogs to slaughterhouses, and Dad said in the 70s he'd get in these trucks, and these old boys got old twin sticks, and Dad did too, and those guys would get them go out as a group to the highway, and Dad said they'd be yakking the whole time on the CB, nonstop, and then they'd get out on the highway, and them boys would open them up, and Dad said they'd take their left arm and they'd hook it through the steering wheel and grab the left shifter, and then with their right hand they're leaned over in the seat, with their right hand they got the other shifter, and they're jamming gears like this, two-handed, and getting gone, and they still got time to grab the old CB and squawk at my dad, "Hey, big guy, wind him up. Let's take him to town." And Dad says those guys would just disappear when he first started driving. He learned to catch up with the guys back when speed shifting was an art form. Nice. Nice. Max, welcome. My Mexican connection. That's right. I so wish I had the coin to bring something choice and rust free from the south up to here. Be awesome. I just think it's so cool that so many people come. It still knocks my socks off every time. So I'll show them again because I showed them right off at the top of the hour. No, I'll show them again in an hour, or at an hour. We're at 45 minutes. So I'll show them again. But I brought show and tell stuff. Pick what you want and keep my eyes on. I gotta have the coin to do it, Buff. That's the only thing. Is I gotta have the coin to do it. But I would love a 65 Grand Prix. I would love a 65 Grand Prix. or what year was the Can-Am? The Pontiac Can-Am, but those things are rare. Oh, excuse me. But I got to get the truck I'm working on done first. 74 thereabout for the Can-Am. Exactly. Thank you. I just love the look of the Can-Am. The bright white, the orange graphics, the wing. Oh yeah. Can-Am's a cool, the shaker scoop. Cool car. I like Pontiacs anyway. That's a cool car. A guy that I went to high school with, he had a 74 Grand Am in white, and it had the louvers on the quarter glass, and he pulled I want to say it was a 400 4-speed car, I think, and he put a big block Chevy in it and a Muncie 4-speed, and it was okay. It was he thought it was the fastest thing ever, and it was mild, but okay. Yeah. But that was actually a pretty cool car, but he didn't drive it very long. He took it all apart and then he fire sold everything, which is kind of his MO. But yeah, that Grand Am was a cool car. I have a model of Mickey Thompson's Revelator. That's what it is. Mickey Thompson Revelator. And it is that body style Grand Am. Mine is the banana yellow one, which I prefer the orange one way better. Like, actually, if I ever build that, it's sealed in the package. But if I ever build that model, it will be orange. It will not be the yellow. I don't care for that paint scheme. Oh, and I haven't done it in a long time, but I used to build models. I scratch built a Richard Petty Daytona stock car using a 71, using a 71 Roadrunner. I made it into a satellite, and at that time, and that was like 2008, 2009, I was laid off, so I needed something to do. And I ended up paying, at that time, 2008 or 2009, I paid $20 for a decal kit for a model. That's huge. And I ended up taking a NASCAR die cast apart that was worthless. I took it all apart and I saved the roll cage out of it and the wheels. And I used those on the car body. And I made a pretty believable, really good looking Richard Petty. The sticker kit came with so many different options, and it showed you on a piece of paper, like, this is the Daytona paint scheme, and this is the Talladega paint scheme, and this is this paint scheme. And so I went with Daytona 500. Paint scheme, because that was what he won in that year. Yeah. And then I also did this one was a Lindbergh model, so it came as a race car, but it was a Lindbergh, the manufacturer, 64 Plymouth Satellite Petty stock car. You just got the Christmas card from Wilburn today? Wow. In almost May. Well, that's really strange. Some cars feel fast. Yeah, graduate. I don't know. at the time I didn't have a garage to work in. I didn't have any money because I was laid off, and cheap fun. I also built a at that time, and I never finished it, a 69 Super Bee. I painted it Panther pink. I just got to strip the interior because I painted it wrong. I want to go with a white interior, and I might even do it as a white hat special. Paint the roof white. I think that might look good. No, I don't think those came as white hat specials. Maybe it did. Or I'll go with a white tail stripe. That one I got custom wheels for it. They're actually die cast like zinc, and they look like little aluminum wheels. And I got some really sweet tires for them too. To the point where I realized when I got them, you can look into them, right? I'm like, oh man, those are so cool. They look like real car wheels. I brought them home and I mocked them up on my model. Well, now you see inside the backside of the wheel. What the heck am I going to do now? And then I got an idea. I'm like, wait a minute, this car came with drum brakes back in the day. So I took wheel backers from a model and I shaved them down and I painted them red, and I made brake drums. So now you look through that open wheel and you're looking at a red brake drum. I'm like, wow. Hey, what do you notice? No. It got... Yeah. Interesting. They're like, who is this John Wilburn and why is he sending mail? You hate painted brake drums? I like painted brake drums. Brake parts red. To each their own. I like painted stuff better than rusty. Rusty and grungy. Or do you just paint them black? I mean, the most polishing you could do on a glass headlight is just quick hit it with some 4/0 steel wool, and man, that'll make glass shine. Any glass shine. Just be careful on the inside of a windshield or inside of your doors, because if you've got the safety glass with that layer of plastic on it, 4/0 steel wool will murder that stuff. But on the outside, where it's not safety glass, do all the outside of your windows in 4/0 steel wool. You'll get your glass sparkling clean. 4/0 steel wool is one of those things that I always have around. Painter's tape, 4/0 steel wool, acetone. I always have those three things nearby. Any speaking of wheels, unfinished project, did you have any did you make any headway on your aluminum wheels? Oh, speaking of aluminum, I picked up a set of Mickey Thompson finned aluminum valve covers for a small block Chevy, which I'm going to give to my nephew. And they were painted at one time yellow. And hey, Fox, nice to see you. Welcome to my live stream. How's your Corvair truck? Very cool truck, by the way. Nice. Sky's got a nice purple hue to it. That make you seasick? So I'm gonna, the fin valve covers, they were painted yellow. The guy who had them before me got most of the yellow paint off, so I'm just gonna polish the living bejesus out of them. And so I'll probably be doing a aluminum polishing video real soon on those Mickey Thompson covers. Okay, the low light is messing with my phone, so I'm gonna close the garage. All right, and there's Unfinished Projects picture. So just 1 minute. I'm gonna close the door. You're gonna hear it because it's right there. Look at your ears. Oh wait. Ho 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 ho. Woohoo! I'm back. All right, now we're going to look at what oh, I didn't realize I disappeared for a second. But the roughness is gone. Yep, you were muted for just a second. Unfinished Projects wheels look tremendous, y'all. They look very nice. I don't know if I can talk about the first picture is just wheels. The second picture, I don't know if I can talk about or not. So, but very cool. They actually have luster now. Maybe at the same time when I'm going to be doing the aluminum valve covers, I might buy extra material, and then I'm going to do another round of they're not handy. I have a set of spare tire rims from a Feel Free. That's my son's first car. Okay, it's like I think it's a Valiant, early '60s Valiant. It's a nice car. It's got a little cancer, but hey, what do you know? But it's got the wheels on it. Looks good. So the wheels that I have are 2000 Lincoln Town Car era spare tires, and they're aluminum, but they're only 4.5 inches wide, or 4 inches wide. And but there's 16. I think there's 16 4.5s or 16 4s, and so it's 5 on 4.5 bolt pattern. So when I got them, it's not cancer, it's character. That's right. And it doesn't leak oil. It's sweating horsepower. That's the one I heard the other day. They come from the factory. They're like rough cast, like frosted. And I spent a whole winter off and on polishing them out. And I got them 50 footers. Like there's a lot of sanding marks. I went and polished. I didn't get all my sanding marks from the heavier sandpaper. So in the finished product, there's still a lot of texture from the frosted look of the rough cast wheel still in it. So I'm going to sand it all down again and then start all over. And those things. Hey, Mohawk. I hope that to make the wheels look way better. They already look good, but they're like 50 footers. From 50 foot away, you're like, look at those. And you get up close and you're like, never mind. So we're going to fix that. I got to get the ID opened up just a little bit so it'll fit my truck. And that way I'll have skinnies on the front. Put meats on the back and skinny minis up front. Yeah. So yeah, I should be all black from polishing aluminum. Wear breathing protection when dealing with that stuff. That's no joke. Metallosis is not funny. Oh, it's after the hour. So I said I would show them again after the hour. So it's minute 1. Well, on top of everything else that I collect Coleman lanterns. And I brought Coleman lanterns that are 100 years old. Thank you, Michael. Junkyard D, what's going on? So the Coleman lanterns that I have today are so old, they don't have pumps inside the tanks. These are the pumps. So these are like 100-year-olds. Either they will be 100, are 100, or already 100. This one is actually made by Coleman. Nickel-plated, wooden handle, leather pump. And then this one is not made by Coleman, but this is for an iron. Yes, an iron, a clothing iron. Runs on Coleman fuel. Another leather pump. And this one has like a twister top, like a cigar tube. And the only print on the whole thing says Made in USA. And that's solid brass. And that thing is nice. And I have a bigger one for the first series that is a larger body of this and a T-handle to really put the chooch to them. And you use that to pressurize your tank. And I brought an American and a Canadian. And they're called the Quick Light series. And this is the Canadian lantern. If you look and see the loop inside that circle right there, that is a Q99 loop generator. And this is not plastic. This is original to this lantern. This is mica, which is a thinly sliced mineral, and it's something that can take the heat. You hear old timers talk about isinglass for like wood stoves. Same stuff. So this is where the fuel goes in, and this is where I would turn this and pump up the put pressure to the lantern. But this is a Canadian one. And then this one's an American. This one is made in Wichita, like all good Coleman products are. Loop generator, you can see it. Another Q99 loop generator, and it's original globe. And one of these two is actually printed still Coleman. I think it's on the Canadian one. So that makes it a genuine Coleman shade. Once again, the fuel thing. And then, yeah, so this one's made in Wichita, and the other one is made in Toronto. So on top of everything else that I collect, I got lanterns and Coleman stuff. Is it one or is it two? Wichita, there's two of them. No, I'm not showing you the same lantern twice. That's the Canadian. And that's the American. I'm not pulling a fast one on you. Three extra inches, huh? Nice. Some guys would pray for that. Don't they sell ads for that, like all over the place? Take this magical pill and grow. Be right back. Take her by empty. It doesn't work. They work. They work great. It's just a big pain in the ass to drag out. If I had planned this more, I would actually drug everything out, fueled them up, and I would have had them all ready to go. Then I would have lit them up. But no. Yeah, they both run. Most of my lanterns run. I pride myself on that. And what lanterns don't run, I'm currently seeking out parts to make run. It's an inside wheelbase. Ah! Oh, Bill, gotcha. I'm going to have a beer, everyone. Cheers. All right. Cheers, Dan. So when you don't have gin, do you keep Royal Pine air fresheners around so you kind of feel like you have gin near you? Just kidding. That's all I think of when I drink gin is like, air fresheners. Royal Pine. All right. Ah, we're having a beer tonight. Nice. Fun fact. The in Holland they had such a problem with the men drinking gin, and alcoholism was so rampant that they wanted them to get off gin because these guys drank huge copious amounts of it while working sometimes. And so that's where Heineken beer came from. They're like, hey guys, here, drink this instead. So actually Heineken beer was brought out to curb alcoholism. Crazy, isn't it? Heineken's pretty good. Every so often I don't mind Heineken. Damien, I know this is going to sound strange, but as soon as you can, without like upsetting your wounds and everything, any wound that you have, I know this doesn't make any sense, be clean when you do this, but start to massage it. Keep the blood flow and moving to it. So like here, I cut my finger constantly. I'm working it. It hurts a little bit, but that's okay. Keep the blood flow going to it and it heals faster. Lars, welcome to my live stream. Funny, I talked to you earlier. And yes, Lars, that Studebaker was Dougster approved. Yeah. Believe it or not, guys, I learned that trick out of a James Bond novel of all things. You think I learned that in Boy Scouts because I was a scout. Nope. I read it in a James Bond novel. And by the way, the Ian Fleming James Bond novels, they're only about an inch thick, are way better than any movie. I recommend From Russia with Love or Goldfinger. Moonraker's pretty good too. How far in the Scouts? Star? I think I made it to star rank. I had the dilemma that most scouts have, and that's, am I going to do Am I going to do sports in high school, or am I going to do scouts? And I started scouts when I was like 9 years old, and so yeah, scouts kind of took a back seat to sports. Eagle Scout, good for you, Turbo Tom. Yes. I learned so much in scouts that is practical today. It is nuts. And Tom can attest to this. Some things that we know, other people look at us weird, like knots, where you just go up with a piece of rope and you tie up something real quick, and you actually go for the style points and really make a fancy knot, and then people are like, what? I just tied a knot. That's what, how do you know that? Scouts. But yeah, like another thing, always carry a pocket knife. Always carry a pocket knife. This is the ultimate tool. It really is. I've seen a pocket knife do everything from cut an apple to scrape shit off the bottom of your boot to start a tractor. Probably in the same day. But yeah, young people think that's weird now, that guys carry pocket knives. Men have carried knives for millennia. Yeah, that's weird now. Okay. But yeah. Never made it to Weeblo. Oh, your great uncle was big wig in the Scouts. We have a really cool, a whole bunch of actual areas that we would go to here in the state of Michigan. We'd go up by Fremont or Muskegon to Camp Gerber. That's where we had summer camp. And that place was just absolutely spectacular. And we were there in July. We'd go in July. And then so summer camp at Camp Gerber was always so cool. And then one of my personal favorites was when we go to our Klondike Derby at Rhoda-Kawan, which was down by Kalamazoo, south of us. And we'd get a cabin, and a log cabin. It was rustic style. It wasn't like a period cabin or anything like that, but we'd have a cabin for the weekend at this area of Rhoda-Kawan, and then we'd have our sled. And then we actually had to take our sled, and as a team, we would go navigate a course. We would have to take our sled with gear, and then we'd navigate through obstacles and all sorts of stuff. Okie from Muskegon? Not from Muskegon. Muskegon's north of me. That's pretty funny, Danny. That's actually pretty funny. Proud to be an Okie from Muskegon. Over on the other side of the shop, I have a Continental engine, and the tag says Detroit or Muskegon. And I'm hoping that that Continental I have is actually a Muskegon engine, but I don't think there's any way I can prove that. Camp Barry outside of Findlay, Ohio. And I think there is a scout camp over by Kokomo, Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. Can a Yooper be from Muskegon? Only if the Yooper moved from the Upper Peninsula to Muskegon, then yes. But no, if you're a Yooper, Upers are from a lot. You get a lot of displaced Upers because it's one thing to live in the Upper Peninsula and be a Uper. It's another thing to make a living. There's not a lot of industry up there. So it's a totally different world in the UP. But yeah, you get a lot of Upers that move down here and get jobs. So yeah, true Upers from the UP. And they talk like this up there. Yeah. Practicing slow race. Uper City Slickers. They don't got no. Well, I mean, you've got Escanaba, you've got Marquette. Oh, what are some of the other really big towns in the UP? Yeah, Escanaba, Marquette. Escanaba is where Da Uper's Tourist Trap is. And that's a band from the Upper Peninsula that made a whole bunch of real funny songs in the 80s and the 90s. And in Ishpeming, I think it's Ishpeming, they have the world's largest chainsaw, and it's called Big Gus. And Big Gus is powered by a small block Chevy. And you can go over by the throttle and pick up on the ginormous throttle and actually rev up the engine. It runs. Yeah, those wheels of unfinished projects turned out really good. Space Scout, yeah, or whatever where I work. Peter Loon. Call Peter Loon. Oh, yeah. I, by heritage, am French Canadian. Some of those Upers were Messerschmitts. Yes, they were. A lot of Germans actually enjoyed their time in the Upper Peninsula. So they actually had a concentration camp for the Germans in the Upper Peninsula. And it was funny because it's in the middle of nowhere. So, and they thought it was fun. They escaped for sport, not because they wanted to, but because it was something to do. It was a challenge. So escaping was for sport, not for, I actually don't, because we treated them absolutely, we treated them like kings. We treated them like human beings. So yeah, they didn't want to escape because the conditions were bad. But they got caught so easily because here you've got this guy wearing the clothes that look like prison uniform, and then he's talking in nothing but German in the middle of the UP. Gee, I wonder where he come from. Okay, Hans, jump in my truck. Let's go to the farm. It sounds like Hogan's Heroes. I know. I see nothing. I see nothing. Ah, must bring a strudel for Schultz. Strudel? Yeah, it sounds like Hogan's Heroes, but it really is true. There's a tons of lighthouses on the Upper Peninsula, and it's actually pretty cool. My parents went to one that's called the Crisp Lighthouse in the Upper Peninsula, and it's a 2-lane dirt road, and logging trucks ride this. And my dad and mom and my dad's little Toyota Tacoma went out there, and it takes you at road speed, it takes you an hour to get off of the main road to the Crisp Lighthouse. And they have bumper stickers there that actually say, "I survived the Crisp Lighthouse." And my parents said that they encountered 3 logging trucks headed the opposite way, and they had to find a spot to pull off. So the logging truck could pass by way too close. But yeah, lots of cool lighthouses, a lot of history up in the Upper Peninsula. Ford owned land in the Upper Peninsula. Packard owned land in the Upper Peninsula. I believe Studebaker owned land in the Upper Peninsula. for their wood source. A lot of that wood on those Woody cars and Chrysler Woodies, Chrysler had them too. A lot of those wooden cars, all that lumber come out of the Upper Peninsula. Packards and Studebakers. I think Indiana supplied their wood for their cars, but some of it I think came from the Upper Peninsula. Do you know how easy it is to make sauerkraut? It's actually amazingly simple. And it's good. The old Woodies are actually made of real wood, exactly. And they all came from the Upper Peninsula. Yeah. The best sauerkraut to have is I think it's Vlasic brand, or there's other brands out there, but I find it as Vlasic brand, but it's sauerkraut with caraway seeds in it. And that's the one that I like to use the most with like good kielbasa. Usually, Lewis, hi, how are you? Usually I'll do sauerkraut, kielbasa, and red skin potatoes. And then you do a layer of red skin potatoes on the bottom, and you throw your sausage and kraut on top of that and cook the whole thing till the taters are done. It's pretty good. Yeah, all that cooks into them potatoes. Good stuff. Sometimes I'll do that in my Dutch oven on my grill, and that turns out really good. You gotta give it a lot of time for them potatoes to cook through. You get antsy, and then you dig into it, and then you've got crunchy potatoes. And nobody likes crunchy potatoes. Lewis found me something very cool the other day. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you for thinking of me. Let's not talk about it. I want to make a video on it. Lewis. Shredded cardboard onto noggin. Yes. 2 or 3, depending on the logbook. Yeah, onto noggin is nice. Good, just good folks up there. Sounds good. Winnemuckamak? Sounds like something Native American or Hawaiian. There is a German dish that's called gazpacho, and you take a pork tenderloin, and then you lay it out long ways, and then you slice it almost in half all the way down. Then you flip open the pork tenderloin like a big book, and then you hit it with coarse salt and pepper, and then you slice up onions into rings and load that thing up with as much onions as you can fit in it, and then flip it shut, and then take baker's twine and tie it all up. Now, traditionally, it's supposed to be roasted over a beechwood fire on a rotisserie. So you stab it with your rotisserie fork, and then it's rotisserie cooked over a beechwood fire, and it is really good. I make a modern version of it in my oven, and the onions and the pork really work well together. It's very, very tasty. I like to try to keep all the juices in, so I usually wrap it in tin foil and keep it all nice and tight so everything stays right in there. It's good stuff. There's another one that's called Rouladen, and you take a boneless steak and you pound it out flat and thin and make it really long and wide, and then you take red cabbage, pickles, and slices of bacon and lay it inside, and then you roll them up as a big roll, tie those off in string, and cook them. And those are really good. I met one family that cooked theirs in gravy, like let them boil in gravy, bubble in gravy for a while. But every other one I seen, they roasted them in the oven. Those turn out really good too. Oh, okay. Gravy. Yeah. Who doesn't like gravy, right? Gravy on their taters. Yeah, bud. I'm not placing that song right now. I know I've heard it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Hank Snow did it first. Yeah. Yeah, I like that song. And man, I tell you what, if you're one of those people that can do that whole song, get all the cities right and everything, that's impressive. That would be just the same as learning It's the End of the World as We Know It by REM. Like, if you can sit there and beat that whole thing out, you've spent a minute doing that. I actually like residual A1 sauce on a baked potato is okay, but I usually don't eat steak sauce anymore. My steak sauce would be like the drippings off of that steak. That's my steak sauce. Oh, okay. Well, me, I like a steak so rare that it should be trying to actively escape me while I'm trying to eat it. Lop his horns off, wipe his ass, and I'll take it from there. Bye, Max. Enjoy dinner. Okay. Marinade beforehand? Yes. Yes. I like to salt a steak and let it sit. Mike, how's it going? I like to salt a steak and let it sit out for at least, I don't know, 5 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. Salt your steak, rub it on both sides, let it sit out and get to room temperature, and you'll watch it. It'll get sweaty, and then it'll sit there with a bead of water on the top of it, and then you'll see after a while it'll all soak back in. Once all that sweat is soaked back in, that's when the magic's happening on the steak. 3 games above 500. Rage, will seasoned salt work? Yeah, seasoned salt will work. Well, I mean, I am a fat guy. I can cook on open fire with my Dutch oven. I can bake cakes and make cobblers and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. What's really cool is get a Dutch oven, not the enameled one that you see like in Kohl's. I mean, an actual real black iron, cast iron Dutch oven. Each charcoal briquette, you can just use charcoal, but each charcoal briquette over its burn time is worth 25 degrees. So if I'm baking something at 400 degrees, how many charcoal briquettes do I need? Exactly, not that many. And then you have to divide it on the top and the bottom of your Dutch oven on the outside. So you make a ring of coals at the bottom and a ring of coals on the lid, because really with the Dutch oven, what you're doing is you're warming the sides, not the top and bottom. And yeah, I'm making chicken artichoke dish in a cast iron pan that will drive you crazy before it's time to eat, because all you smell is just this absolute wonder cooking. And you're like, is it time to eat yet? Sadly, no. Is it time to eat yet? Sadly, no. I heard cobbler. Trust me though, when doing a cobbler in a Dutch oven, they make these big paper discs like of parchment, and put one of those in there first, because it's that way you're not cleaning the living bejesus. Get that sticky cobbler in there, and plus you don't want the acid from that fruit eating at your patina on your pan. Cook ribs every so often. Yeah, canned artichokes. Yes. Oh, artichokes are excellent on pizza. Yes. I make this killer lemon poppy seed cake with my Dutch oven too. I tried Lance is the cobbler king. Lars is the cobbler king. Yeah. Yeah, get the right cobbler going on. What's really cool is look it up, and it's fun to do, is you can go buy zucchini, and then if you prepare it right, you can make a zucchini crisp, and you could serve it to your guests and lie to them and tell them it's apple crisp, and you could have people who hate vegetables will not eat them, and they'll be asking for seconds of that. It is, you can't tell. Once it's all cooked up, you can't tell that it's zucchini and not apples. It's way good. Greek style pork chops. Nice. Back in high school, my friend's house and pork chops. Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah, amazing stuff. Yes. Yeah, one of my favorite marinades is soy sauce. I usually start with soy sauce and garlic when I do a marinade. Yeah, a bottle of soy sauce doesn't last very long at my house when I'm cooking. Dr. G, hey, just the fact that you're here is all that matters. You made it. It's all that matters. Doesn't matter when you get here, as long as you get here, man. I don't know, other than the display. Usually, when you do a roast like that, that's usually it's just a way to hold the apple to roast it and have a roasted apple also, which are tasty. But usually when you do a hog roast or something like that, it's usually a large occasion. You're there to feed a lot of people, and it's traditional to whatever is being served. The cheeks of the animal are relegated to the most important person. Like, so if Danny Boyd was throwing a party, the chef would bring him the cheeks of whatever we're eating, and that is like the delicacy, the morsels. And then usually either he or she would eat them, or he would say, no, I want, Junkyard D or Dr. Go to have one, and each gets that. And it was very, very coveted. It's a very special part, the cheeks of the animal. But yeah. Thank you, Dr. G. I appreciate that. It was his request for his last meal. A guy doing a hog roast, and it was an old charcoal fired hog roaster, and a chunk of fat had fallen off of the hog and landed in one of the grease runs. So instead of the grease flowing down its grease run and out to the pail, now it's being backed up and spilling over the fire. And the whole hog's on fire, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. We get the fire put out, and then what do we do? And the guy goes, light it up, boys. What else are we going to do? We can't get a hog at this hour of the morning, and the meat wouldn't be ready if we started cooking it over again. Light it up. We got to cook it. And they ended up cutting all the burned stuff off of the hog and getting that all thrown away before the party started. And they stayed up all night the night before cooking the hog. And then when they thank God they had enough to still feed everyone, and everyone told the chefs, was like, the meat had a smoky flavor to it. It was so good. And he's like, oh, yep, that's us. If they only knew. Cheeks of walleye. Yes, absolutely. Or cheeks of trout, rainbow trout. Yes. Exactly. Like the little triangle cheek, like in a rainbow trout. Yep, you know exactly what I'm talking about, Dr. G. Like chewing the fat. No, I don't. To be honest with you, Junkyard, I don't know. I'll look into that for you. But chewing the fat is who's gonna feed them? Who's gonna feed them hogs? They ain't gonna feed themselves. Chewing the fat, you've chewed on a good piece of fat where you could just gnaw on it forever. And I think chewing the fat comes from people that just would do that. Oh, I remember. Chewing the fat comes from owning bacon. At one time, owning bacon was a luxury item. Like, you got bacon. You had enough money to get a side of bacon. And what people would do is thank you, Scott. They would bring home a side of bacon, and they'd actually invite their friends over to gawk at their bacon. They're showing off their bacon, just like your new Buick, And so what they would do is they wouldn't eat the bacon because that's precious. But what they would do is they would sit around and trim some of the fat off of the bacon, and they would sit around and conversate and chew the fat. So there you go, Junkyard. I drain the fat when I'm being ground beef. Showing your bacon and eggs will get you in jail. Recipe. Mock apple pie. Tastes like real apple pie. And it's made from Ritz crackers. Okay. The apple crisp, I was just you must have just missed that one, Dr. G. My mother-in-law and my lady makes it too. They use zucchini as a substitute for apples in an apple crisp. You'd never know. It tastes so good. You'd never know until I told you. Does mock turtles eat mock apples? Of course they do. Oh, thanks, Junkyard. And would a mock turtle eat a mockingbird? Or call in mockery? These things I wonder. Holy wow, we've been on for an hour and 40 minutes. Oh, you just caught the end of the recipe? Oh, gotcha. Or a Mach 1. My dad had a Mach 1 back when he was a young man. 69 Mach 1. I think it was cherry red with a Barexo hood. And he didn't know it at the time, but when he ordered it, because he ordered it and it got shipped, it got built and then it came in, but he ordered it and he got asked if he wanted the 351 Windsor or the 351 Cleveland. And Dad goes, "What's the difference?" And the salesman said, "I don't know. They're both 351 cubic inches, though." And Dad said, "Okay, I'll take the Windsor." He says, in hindsight, he wished he had the Cleveland, but oh well. So yeah, it was a Windsor 4-speed, 351 Windsor 4-speed. I want to say it was like $29.95, like $3,000. Either it's $39.95 or it was $29.95. Computer work sucks. Yes, it does. It's a bigger car. I mean, still probably get out and move. I know my dad had a 6. I think he got the engine died in his Ford Galaxy. 62 Galaxy 500. Aquamarine blue, his first car. Paid $1,050 for it when he was in high school. And he went to the local bank on the corner and they gave him $1,000 bill and a $50 bill. And then he had to walk about a mile down the road to the Ford dealer to buy his car. And my dad said that was the biggest amount of money he ever held out of it is 16 years of walking this earth. And this is Wayland, Michigan. This is, Anytown, USA, nice, safe place. But, you're a kid. You're like, didn't see anyone on your walk, but you're carrying a large sum of money. It's funny how you feel like that. Now you carry 10 times that amount and you're just like, Cleveland, very nice. Said that the motor dyno. That's way more than the factory stated. Oh yeah, that's very common. I think that's one of the reasons why they went from net to gross horsepower is to kind of sandbag power numbers because of the insurance companies. That's why they, instead of getting real crank, just the engine making all the stuff happen, that's when you got the air conditioning pump and the air pump and the water pump and the fan and everything else that can take horsepower to bring it down. A 426 Hemi a race Hemi out the gate was closer to 500 horsepower than it was 425. You know, 64 500 two-door. $352 and a Cruise-O-Matic. I believe I came home in my dad's 72 Econoline van. There's a 74. It was a Econoline van, mustard yellow, 3/4 ton. Yeah, that had to be it. Either it was probably the van because it was the nicest ride. We had a rusted out Dodge Dart convertible too. I think that was a big block car. Yeah, I'm sure I got brought home with a nicer vehicle. I know the van existed. I seen pictures of it, but I don't remember being in it. The only vehicle I remember is my dad's green Torino when I was real young. My dad had a 76 Torino that was green with a black top and a black interior. And that had a 351 in it also, Windsor. And then the body rusted out on the Torino so bad. It was actually a good looking car at one time. The body rusted out so bad on the Torino that my dad had to cut pieces of plywood and stand it up. So when you turn a corner, all your stuff didn't roll out the trunk. I remember that. I think my sister's suitcase fell out of the car once when we were headed to our grandparents' house one day. And after that, my dad and my Uncle Jimmy found a 1980 Mercury wagon, Grand Marquis wagon that was burgundy with wood grain and fully loaded, but it had a cacked power plant. So they took the heart out of the Torino and sent the Torino to the Iron Gods and then put that driveline in the Merc. And then we had the Merc for a while. And then we got rid of the Merc we had the Merc for a few years. And then we got a 1980 Olds 98 4-door. Black car, red pinstripe. Yep, it was the Regency 98, so it was loaded. Red pillow top interior, red pinstripe. It had the fake wire hubcaps. It was originally a diesel car, and I don't know if Mom and Dad bought it. 350 Olds gas power, or if Dad and Uncle Jimmy made it 350 Olds power, because either, I don't remember that specific thing, but that car would move. That car was fast. That Torino was a good looking car. That's why I really got into Starsky and Hutch when I was a real little kid, because that's Dad's car. My dad's got that car. And then you watch Starsky and Hutch today, those guys, those actors, hated the Torino to the point where they were purposely trying to harm the car. Pay attention in the show where they come in at 35 miles an hour and curb check it. They hate that car. Dad's always got the 88s and the Sabres. The last car was a 98 Park Avenue. Nice car. Park Avenues are always nice cars. It's a Buick. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Uncle Jimmy was always down. Always. Still today. Uncle Jimmy is Uncle. Yes. Yeah. Uncle Jimmy always had a snowmobile running. He always had a toy, a tractor, a something that you could play on. Dad and Uncle Jimmy would hang out. And then, Doug, you want to ride my snowmobile? Yeah. He had this old Gilson snowmobile, an old one-lunger Gilson. And it was square. It was a boxy, old snowmobile. And that thing was Old Faithful. That thing ran forever. And I rode the bogies off of that thing. Mercury cars used fancy names back in the day. If I won the lottery, I would look at Mercury pickup match with my Mercury outboard. Oh, yeah. Mercury, like an M100. Those are Canadian. Never got to mow with a real farm tractor. It's actually pretty cool, especially when you use the big sickle blade. Came home from the hospital with a 55 Chevy convertible. Black with red interior, white top, 283 with a 4-speed. You got home quick, I'll bet. Mercury Montclair. Connor from Lovejoy Shipbox Sanctuary, he's got one of those. is it a Monterey? It's got the funny back window that's at that odd angle, and then it goes down. One of those cars. And I think he wants to rehome it to someone. Montclair. I'm not much on Ford Motor Company products, but I do like the Mercury. If I was to have a Mercury, it would be a Mercury like a 50-something Mercury Turnpike Cruiser wagon, and I want it in a light pastel lavender top, black bottom, and the roof black. And I know those two colors don't sound good. You should see it on the car. It's excellent. You would not feel the least bit emasculated driving a black and purple, black and lavender car. It looks good together. How's the Beetle? Beetle's good. Beetle's outside. Beetle needs a master cylinder, so probably real soon we're going to be jacking up the Beetle and putting her on jack stands, and then we're going to be addressing the brakes. Got to at least pop in some wheel cylinders, because Volkswagen uses these little itty bitty teeny tiny needle-like looking brake bleeders, which I never like, and some of them are broke off. So yeah, it's going to be a master cylinder and then wheel cylinders at least, and then my friend Dusty wants to spend a few days with it because he's going to try to get the wiring figured out on it. And right now she runs and she drives, she doesn't stop, and she doesn't charge. So we're hoping that when Dusty does his wiring magic that he'll accidentally make the charging system work, and it has an alternator, not a generator. I checked. Yeah, it would roll like a train down the turnpike for sure. For sure. The other color combination that sounds bad until you see it on the car is my uncle has a 56 Dodge Royal Lancer, and it is salmon, black, and white. Does it have a breaker point voltage regulator? That car of Connor's? I don't know. But it's salmon, black, and white, so it's like a Ready Pink. Like Ready Pink, black and white. When my uncle said he was painting it that color, we're all going, pink, black, and white? Oh, breaker point voltage regulator? I don't know. Yes, Lady Dougster's bug. Yes, it's one of her dream cars. One dream car of hers is a Beetle. And then her other dream car is she wants an exact copy of the Jeeps they used in MASH. So she wants yeah. I want to get her a flat fender Jeep for sure. I so want to give that to her. I don't think it does have a breaker point voltage regulator. I'll have to look. I don't know. Yep, Lady Dougster's bug. Lady Dougster's done most of the work on it. She put the starter in it. Her and her bestie put the starter in it. She has done my mom's hippie younger brother in the early 70s had a 10-year-old deal, less than 10 years old. It was all shag carpet. Oh yeah. A friend of mine, he had a camper van that was like a pastel yellow and white. Like it was real light yellow. It was painted. It wasn't a factory color, but it had like a tan shag carpet all through it, and Like you could hang out in his VW van, but you had to take your shoes off at the door. Which I get. He had the hammocks in it. They actually had the big VW black and white part tags on them and stuff. Yeah, those are cool. VW made some great stuff. What I love about a Beetle is when you're working on the carburetor, there's a spot that you need to take a plug out of it. And what you use to take that plug out is a taillight screw from your taillight. Just go get that long screw and you thread it into that thing and use that. And boom, pull it out. Smart. Using a common part as your tool. No, Westphalia's came later, I think. Yeah, there is a guy, and it was always supposed, and then I heard of this. A guy was married to a lady, and he stepped out for a pack of cigarettes and never came home again. And he left behind a 68 SS 396 Camaro in red, hidden headlight car. And I heard of this my entire life, and I always thought it was just urban legend until one of my close friends told me that that man ended up marrying his mom. That guy was my friend's stepdad later in life, and he would talk about his Camaro, and he goes, well, go get it, I want to see it. Well, you know, it's complicated. So yeah, it sat in the garage. And the funny fact is that my sister, way later in life, they cleaned out the house and they sold the Camaro. And then my sister, of all people, bought that house. And the shop is sweet. The guy was a heating and cooling guy. The shop is 2-story, and it's like 60 by 20. It's impressive, and it has a big wide staircase going upstairs. It's way cool. Way cool. Dad had a real pair of ratty Beetles when I was a baby. I don't remember them. I've seen the pictures. Said you had to have two because if you only have, you never got anywhere. Oh, SSRS had the hidden headlights. I knew it was a hidden headlight car because my friend who lives nearby that house, he started talking about it. He goes, I seen the Camaro. And that's how we got to talking about it. I'm like, the Camaro? Yeah, the one that we've all heard about? I seen it. They pulled it out. And I was like, holy crap. And he was telling me where the house is. Yeah, after they cleaned out that house, my sister bought it. Crazy. You know, we didn't feel that way. My dad was so impressed by my grandparents' Toyota Corona that he ended up going out and buying a 78 Toyota pickup. And he drove that truck from 78 to like 1992 and drove it daily. And it was a white truck, blue interior, 5-speed, 4-cylinder. Great little truck. My dad replaced that with an 85 4Runner. That was a cool ride. My mom's dad bought a new Corolla in 76. That's what my dad told me. That American cars were the way to go. Well, Yeah. But then again, look at the Datsuns. Datsun had a policy. The thing would start the first time every time. And the Datsuns was the beginning of that, you know, that Japanese invasion, the Datsuns and the Toyotas and everything, and they would rust away. That was their downfall, but man, they ran great, the little Hondas, and they were just building a better product. I mean, in that same era, you'd go buy a brand new Ford Fairmont and it's got less than 10,000 miles on it, and you're sitting at the light and the oil pressure dummy lights flashing at you. And what the hell? It needs an engine. I just bought the car. It doesn't even have, it's all under warranty, but still. Yeah, Honda Accord. Those cars are great. They're great little. I like Hondas anyway. Hondas are great, but I'd rather have a Toyota. In a car, I'd rather have a Toyota. Motorcycles, Honda. Off-road vehicles, Honda. Generators, Honda. Yes. Love the Honda. Yeah, Toyota. Love Toyotas. My dad's got a Toyota now. We've got our little 07 Camry, Camry. Love it. Love that little car. Motorcycles, Yamaha. Yeah, Yamahas are okay, Danster. Honda. There's another Honda over there. Well, under the tarp right there. That's an English bike. That's a Triumph. But Honda. For me, it's a Honda. I wouldn't mind having a Triumph Rocket 3, though. That's a 3-cylinder inline engine, and it's 2.4 liter. Yeah, that thing's got balls. I remember the old Honda Civic had 12-inch tires, I believe. Yes, they were small, the big rubber boot around the back window. Yes. Make anything like an R1 though. Yeah, I noticed in the flat out speed bikes, Honda kind of drops the ball most of the time. They're hard set on being vanilla. That's the only drawback with Honda. But sometimes Honda doesn't go vanilla. Look at the Valkyrie Rune. What a bike. And some guys and I've noticed you're in two camps with the Valkyrie Rune. Either you love the Valkyrie Rune and it's the greatest thing ever, or they say that you ruined it. I think the Valkyrie Rune is a cool looking bike. Honda lost money on every bike they built. It was just a flex. That's all it was. We can do it. Yes, they did. There's other inline 6 motorcycles. You have the the Kawasaki KZ 1300, like a 1980, 77, 78, 79, 80. You have a Kawasaki KZ 1300, and that is a liquid cooled 130 horsepower inline 6 road bike. Has 3 2-barrel carburetors that feed it. Benelli made the SEI bikes, SEI, but it said SEI, and they made a 750 SEI and they made a 900 SEI, and it was an inline 6. But the Italian bikes are these little itty bitty things, so it's a lot of engine and not a lot of bike. So I won't look right sitting on my CBX, but I'll look better on the CBX than I will sitting on a Benelli SEI. Widowmakers. No, the official Widowmakers in motorcycle lingo is the Kawasaki triple 750s. They are known as the Widowmakers. If Vietnam didn't kill you, that would. Um, the um, the neat thing about the H3 750s is, or the Mach 3s, is you could order it as leather perfect stock as a base model. And then if you wanted, you spent more money at the dealership, you could get the optional stuff supplied at the dealer, the Demco Performance, DEMCO, Demco. And you could get the Demco cylinder heads that had the little Cobra sticker on the side of the fins, and it had Japanese writing encircling it that I don't know what it said, but that was one of the things. If you got the Demco heads, it came with these Cobra stickers that were on the center of the fin of the head. And then you could get Demco front forks, you could get Demco rear swing arm, and you could upgrade your bike. Well, if you had a fully loaded, like 1971, Demco Performance H3 triple 750, it was 120 horsepower. Now be an 18-year-old kid or 21-year-old kid full of piss and vinegar and a belly full of beer and a fast bike. Yeah. I totaled that Honda Civic when the drunk driver pulled across my path when I was doing 55 on a motorcycle. I T-boned him and totaled both vehicles. Lost my brother's 80s ZR 1000 rare bike. Yes, yes, that is a rare bike. The Z1000s. In the original Mad Max movie, Kawasaki donated all of the bikes used by the biker gangs and everything are all brand new Z1000s. Actually, all the bikes in that movie were donated new by Kawasaki Z1000s. Goose's bike is a Z1000 in silver, the Main Force Police bike, and that's probably one of my favorite clips in that movie. Is old Goose, he stays out late at the nightclub drinking beer and having himself a time, and then he gets up in the morning and gets on his bike and warms it up a second, and his cut exhaust, you hear the pipes crackle, and he backs that thing out in the street, and then he smokes the tire for like a city block as he leaves. Look it up on YouTube, Goose Burnout. It's one of my favorites. Last bike I rode was the Shadow 650. Back in '89, my friend got killed on it several months later. He was known for his bad driving. We all predicted his demise. Oh, that's rough. The Z1 had the fairing all black. 78 was all silver. Okay. Yeah, there's a guy that I buy Honda parts from in Pontiac, Michigan, which is over on the other side of the state, greater Detroit area. And he's big into Honda CBXs, and he's big into Kawasaki's, the Z1000s and the Z900s and the Z1s and KZ900s, Z1s. He's got all sorts of stuff like that. And this guy is just beyond organized, and he's got a crawl space in his basement. So you actually go down into his basement and you're on hands and knees crawling. It's carpeted, it's shelves, everything is, oh my God, well organized. And he's like, you need this? Pulls it out, shows you it. But you got to walk around on your hands and knees the whole time in the basement. It's the only thing that sucks, but organized, it's beyond organized. Randy Goldstein. Oh, your buddy. Right on. Yeah, to Randy. My friend's neighbor had an 83 Turbo Suzuki. That thing was scary fast. It would pull the front wheel at 90 miles an hour. Honda had a turbo bike, and it was the same engine that went into a Silver Wing. I forget its letter designation, but it was a V-twin 650cc bike, and it came with a turbo on it, and it was red, white, and blue, and it said turbo on the fairing, And they were limited production, and I think they were all 1983s, and they only made 1,983 of them. I can't think of that letter designation for it. It's the same engine that they put on like the Silverwing, the Honda Silverwing, the V-twin, liquid cooled V-twin. Can't think of that letter designation. That was in the Checker limo, which almost rolled. He was driving. Oh, yeah. Checker is from Kalamazoo, Michigan. I can take you past where the Checker plant is today. A guy that I worked with, he was when I was a teenager, he was almost retirement age, and he had worked at Checker. And I said, "What was the last thing you did at Checker?" And he goes, "I made S10 tailgates," because they were GM employees working at Checker. We were underage and we were coming back from the city one time, late night, and Randy was driving the grandma's 75-ish triple white Coupe de Ville. We were all on a curvy road next to a river, and I had to what, Dan? And oh yeah, all sorts of dumb stories from when we were underage. Yes. All sorts of dumb stuff. People getting out of the car and first thing they do is throw shit. What was that? Don't worry about it. Yeah, stupid smart car. Oh yeah, Mohawk is absolutely right. Had to tell him, dude, there's a curve. He drifted the caddy around the curve, and guess who was coming the other way when we emerged from the curve? I will bet you that it was a black and white, or it was his dad. One of the two. But yeah, either his dad seen him driving his Ma's car like that, and his ass was grass, or Officer Friendly paid him a visit. That's my guess. But I'm thinking cop more than dad. Oh, no. Black and gold. Yeah, our sheriff's deputy patrol is gold and black. The cruisers are gold with a little bit of black, and or they're kind of like a champagne color, I would say. A goldy champagne and big gold star on the door. Let us go. Oh, he's one of those lucky bastards, isn't he? Was he a smooth talking son of a bitch? Was he one of those guys that could just talk his way out of fucking shit and talk his way into shit? I was cruising with a guy, no bullshit. I was cruising with a guy. We're just out cruising around. And he's like, I'm bored. Yeah, I'm bored too. And he goes, hey, check this out. There's people standing around a bonfire. I never knew him. He pulls in. And he goes, come on, let's go. And we go up, and he comes up, and he's like, hi. And he introduces himself and introduces me. And we just sit around and hang out, had a good time. They gave us beers and all sorts of stuff. And we hung out for a while at the fire and just had a nice time. And finally he's like, we're taking off. All right, see you guys. And he said we called him by name. We were talking with him for a while. We get in the car, and I'm like, I didn't know you knew these people. He goes, I never met them before. I just seen they had a fire, and I walked up, and I'm like, how do you do that? And it was awesome. We had a great time. Good people. But yeah, I don't think you could do that today. Unless, well, that dude he was charming, to say the least. Some guys got it. Let us go. Randy played it cool. Oh, he played it cool, but not a schmoozer. Gotcha. You're putting on a great show tonight, Dougster. Very entertaining. Thank you very much, Mr. Buff. I appreciate that. And punched it and he let it go. Some people are natural icebreakers. Yeah, I can tell by meeting someone, because I know I'm not for everyone. And I can tell pretty quickly if we're gonna click or if we're gonna not. And yeah. Sometimes I can do it. Other times, yeah, I don't get let in. Oh well. I saw the grass crossing past as the rear passenger door popped open and we bounced sideways and forward down the embankment. I was on the back seat. I felt it. I was looking straight down and seeing the grass. Superman! See, it's not the long journey that you fly that hurts you. It's a sudden stop at the end. Oh, some of the dumb stuff. My friend had this big tunabout LTD, and we had a bunch of older friends, so we bragged our way. We were bragging about, oh yeah, we can get booze anytime. We're all underage. Yeah, we can get. Oh yeah, and they said, oh really? So we're having a party next weekend. You bring the beer, and okay. So we got hooked up, and he had this big tuna boat frickin' LTD, and we flipped the trunk open, and we threw all the beer and ice in the back of the trunk. And we both grabbed ourselves a beer, and we headed out. It's after dark. He does something stupid and gets lit up, and yeah, we ended up having to dump out the beer. I'm already here. Must be Kim. Potato was the perfect icebreaker when you honored me with that gift at No Name Nationals. I knew we clicked right there on the spot. Yeah, because who's giving out a potato, right? And what's even funnier is all the videos that came after that. Like someone's like, yep, cleaning out the car from No Name Nationals. Found a potato, Doug. Dougster. Buck, he made breakfast with his. That's the common fate of Bud the Spud is breakfast. But hey, at least it's getting used. Potato. I just thought it would be funny because who's gonna expect a potato? Everyone took a potato at No Name Nationals except one person. And I won't say who. As a 17-year-old, the first time I splurged on some Heineken, the dang University of Dayton cops made me pour like 4 of them out. Worked hard for that, man. I remember some guys charging double. If you want it, they'll buy it for you, but it would cost you double. Hi, Blondie. I hope you're having a good evening. Buck cooked my potato for breakfast too. Blondie cooked her potato for breakfast. She told me the day I gave it to her. She's like, I want to have this for breakfast in the morning. Yep, Blondie did. She probably ate her daughter's potato too, because Madison got one also. And actually, my whole potato thing actually stems from some of Cope's videos where he just have pictures of potatoes in his video because of the potato cam. Nice. Well, waste not, want not, still food, right? Yeah, Buff, he tried so hard with the potato that I gave him to make it germinate, and he put forth the effort. He really did try. And he couldn't make it go, which sucks because they were going to plant spuds this year in their garden, and I thought descendants of Bud the Spud would be cool as frig. Like this year's potatoes came from last year's potato. Awful hard to mess up a potato. This is true. And potatoes are so versatile. Whipped, baked, mashed, fried. I mean, gosh, you can make potatoes with twice baked. Yeah, you can make all sorts of stuff. Cope's home to the three-bladed potato recommendations. Did Wilburn get a potato? No, because that guy was nowhere to be found. That guy was everywhere at once. I don't think he ever sat in the same spot for longer than 3 minutes. So no, and it wasn't because I didn't want to give him one. I just didn't have the opportunity. Crap! I was in staging lanes for a while at No Name as they're coming back from their runs to get back in line. I'm handing out potatoes and stickers. Guys are still in their safety gears, like, what? I go, it's a potato cam, potato. Eyes are coming, eyes are staring. Yeah, careful what you do in front of a field of potatoes because they have eyes. Be careful what you say in cornfields because they have ears. Yeah, corn should be planted here real soon in the area. The fields over to the west of me haven't been tilled yet, and I'm surprised they haven't because I should be seeing the green sprouts here real soon. Little corn plants about that tall. Cute little things. And then if you're on par, it should be knee high by the 4th of July. And that field over there are actually watered by those big automated watering systems. And that corn will be 10 feet tall by harvest time. You can, as a matter of fact, you can go over there and listen to the corn grow. Pop, 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 pop. They'll make noise all night long. I should post some a little bit. All I've been doing is posting for this, and maybe I'll try posting some stuff. Cedar Point, cool. Sandusky. Cedar Point's a stretch, not that much of a stretch, but Cedar Point's a little bit of a hump away from here. Cope is a pretty cool guy, and it only needs 3 blades. Chuck Norris's fan doesn't have any blades. Cope is a really cool guy. See, actually, his fan blade is a replica. It's in honor of Oldsmobile. That's what it is. It looks like the jet. Looks like the Oldsmobile jet. Or if you put a circle around it, it's a Mercedes-Benz logo. Oh, thanks, Dr. G. Yeah, it's one of those things. I've always liked that stuff, where it comes from and why we say it and stuff like that. And always stuff that I've thought about. And I'd actually would do those, like my videos, I would do standing around the fire at the at a get together anyway. So it's kind of natural for me. Ooh, we're out of fan blades. High performance, doing less with more. Like ZZ Top, just a 3-piece band. Rush, 3-piece band. Chuck Norris is my size. I mean, I'll tell you what, it doesn't really matter your size. One of the meanest motherfuckers I ever knew was 4'10". And I'll tell you what, he fought like oh my God. Well, he did tough man contests and stuff like that. And it just blew me away. Because when I first, because he's just he's not like scrawny, he's of good stature, but he would talk about, yeah, I got into a fight at the bar and I kicked this dude's butt, and you're like, okay, I've heard these stories before. Then I seen dude in action. I took it all back. Wow. He took on 5 guys all by himself and won. I watched it. We walked out of a grocery store. We were going to a party, and I had 2 12-packs of bottled beer, and he had 2 12-packs of bottled beer. We walked out of the grocery store, and it was dark. It was past dark, and he runs into someone he knows at the door, in the entrance, and they catch up for a minute. I don't know the guy, so I just continue to walk to the truck, threw my beer in the back, got in the truck on the passenger side. So you see across the way, there's this guy and his friend talking, and oh yeah, talk to you later, man. And he's headed across the parking lot. Well, he was getting a divorce, and his wife was telling all these guys these terrible things that he had done to her. He never done any of these things. And so he's got all these guys gunning for him. So I hear, it's summertime, windows are down in the truck. I hear, there he is, get him. And here comes running 5 dudes. The guy's name's Chris. Oh, Chris throws down those 2 12-packs and said, ha. And there's 5 guys. What are you supposed to do? You get out of the truck and you back your man up. So I get out of the truck and I come running over, and this is all like half the distance from the entrance to the truck. I come running over. By this time, they're picking their asses up off of the ground and running off. And I come running up behind him, and he turns on me. And I'm like, whoa, 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 hey, okay, sorry. And he's looking down, and he's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I said, 5 what? He goes, teeth, and they ain't mine. Yeah, I watched him hold off 5 dudes all by himself. Yeah, he's a bad little man. Yeah, like a cat. Especially when we first manual valve body operated fan with a trans brake. You get hot, bam, cool fan. Yeah, and then that same fan will do wheelies too. For whatever reason, it's got to do wheelies. It's got to pick the blades up like 3 feet in the air. Otherwise, it's not the Cope spec. Can't get it done quick. Yeah, he told a story once, and he's at the bar, just minding his own business, there alone, and there's a guy to his left and his significant other, female, with him. And she's trying to talk to him, and he's just being absolutely rude to her. Shut up, you, blah, 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 and just being very condescending. And finally, Chris has enough. And he says, hey, bud, talk to me like that, I'll clean your clock. And the guy goes, what are you going to do about it, pipsqueak? So they both step off of their bar stool. And Chris goes, he's a lot bigger than me. So here it goes. And he's kicked him right in the crotch. First thing, pow, everything he had. Chris said that the guy didn't bend over. He didn't make a sound. He didn't react to it at all. He said his face got red. And then he said he made him see stars. He goes, he beat my ass. At least he was man enough to tell the story, RGB fan. Had a hydraulic fan on a 90 Cherokee. Hydraulic. Cool. You might know this one. What years was the aluminum rear axle available in a Cherokee, Turbo Tom? For just a little while, they to make something lightweight, for like 1 year, they made a complete aluminum housing rear axle for a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Hydraulic fan, that's so cool and different. I'm just not a fighter. Yeah, I know what you mean. But sometimes you got to stand up for yourself. The clutch fan is hydraulic loosely. Oh, because of what it's the temperature sensitive stuff, whatever it is that engages and disengages the all the new ones are now. Oh, I'm not surprised today. But I think there was like a 90s one that had the aluminum rear axle. Yeah, I'm not the least bit surprised. All the new ones are. Tom, hey bud, how you doing? Hope you and your family are well. Wow, 2.5 hours? We're doing great. 19 likes, 10 people gawking at me. Holy wah! That way. That way's up. There you go. Dougster tip of the day. Thank you. I'm actually starting to look forward to Monday nights. Just for this. Well, what makes the live, I've noticed, is audience interaction for sure. Because the past 2 lives I've done, the chat tapers off at about an hour. And then I'm left, trying to make something happen, and I run out of stuff to say. So definitely audience interaction really drives this. I actually enjoy it. I do too. And 6% suggested that I get StreamYard so I can maybe get all my pals in on the fun too. We might give that a try. But not yet. Yeah, it's good. I mean, I like the fact that, like-minded people can get together and we can tell stories and goof off and, What I'm really happy about is that, once a year we get to get together and actually hang out. Like, how great it was to actually shake Tom's hand and, hang out with, Dan and Tom and cruise down the 6% and Hubert's Projects and meet Travis Mopar Garage and Backwoods Custom Crap and Ray from 38 Racing and Dr. Go and it was just great. I mean, you could only wish to run into these guys, and here everyone is all at one place. And even better, they're all cool, approachable people. Not like, begone, you're beneath me. No, they're like, hey, what's going on? It's great. I've learned a lot and continue to learn from this car community. That is absolutely true, Dr. G. That is priceless information like a novice like me. Well, you always will learn. Always will learn. And I think that's my favorite spot. My favorite part is learning, trying. At least try. Like, people want me to fix their cars, and I'm like, why don't you fix your car? I don't know how to work on a car. Why don't you try? Oh, I can't do that. And to some people who actually try, I'll help you. We'll get it done. And then when they're done, they're like, I did it. And you're like, hey, you also saved $1,000. How about that? Whoa, really? Yeah. Look here in the book. that job's like $850 or, $1,000 in labor or whatever. What was it? My coworker come to me. He wanted me to change a oil pan. I don't know if I had to replace the oil pan altogether or just reseal it, but it was a 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee V8. He wanted me to do something with the oil pan, and he said the shop quoted him at $1,800 to change to get that done. And I said, go watch a YouTube video and pay attention and match what they do. And he got nervous when they unbolted the engine from the mounts, and then they lifted it up and put 2x4s in on the mounts. That's when he said he was out. Other than that, he says, I was there, man. I was going to do it until I seen them lift the engine out. He says, I don't want to do that. I'm not ready for something like that. I'm like, okay, hey. At least he gave it a shot, right? At least he tried to look into it. Everyone's doing good, Tom. How's yours? Good. We're good here. Some storms today, but not too bad. I'll do it. Show me the money. Show me the money. Yeah, it's labor rates at dealerships. Tom, what's the labor rate an hour at the dealer right now? I'll bet you it's over 125. I'll bet you it's closer to 175. Dealership. Yeah. Sometimes, depending on what you're getting, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I used to buy a lot for working on GMs, I would buy the parts at the GM dealer, because if you got the parts over the counter at the GM dealer, they had a year warranty on the parts. Even if you installed it wrong and it failed, you could take it to your friendly neighborhood GM dealer and they would replace it for free. Warranty, Delco warranty. $180 here, but it's outrageous. Oh, yeah. $149. Yeah. $149 an hour. I'm not surprised. Yeah, labor rates are insane. Lady Dougster, we tried to take the fuel tank out of her 11 Avalanche. Blanche, the Avalanche. She dreamed that up. Great name. Anyways, we tried to take the tank out of Blanche, and we ended up having problems right off the rip with a few fasteners. And she just said, you know what? It's setting the tone for this whole job. I'll pay. I'll just pay to have a shop do it. Are you sure, babe? Yep. All right. We assembled it. Took it to our favorite repair shop that we don't see very often. And it was like, all they had to do was they cut the straps, drop the tank. And what happens on those things is it's got a divot in the top of the gas tank. And it has, I don't know why GM decided to go back to it, but the top of the pump is steel. So all the road debris and BS piles in on top of that steel housing, and guess what it does? It rots out the steel housing. The thing had a terrible fuel leak. So yeah, that was like $1,100 just to have the tank removed, new straps, and replace the pump. It was like $1,100. GM parts were nearly always better than aftermarket Motorcraft and Mopar too. Yeah, that was the other thing, is usually you got a better part at the dealer too. Yeah, but you pay the dealer price for it. So sometimes it's worth it to pay the long dollar. Sometimes. Other times it's just ridiculous. The dealer always came in handy with Mrs. One-Eyed Cat. Wendy, hi. I just had my van towed to the house yesterday. It was a mile away from home, and they charged me $150. Yes. A friend of my dad's ran a tow service, and I remember him talking about this in in the 80s, the late 80s or the early 90s. And he says, you call me and say, I need you. And I say, okay, I'll be there. I go out and I light up my truck, and I'm now en route to get you. And you call me, or let's say you call back and you catch me and before I left and said, hey, I got it going. Never mind. He's like, okay, you called me though. I get a minimum fee of X. And it was like $35 at that time. So that's part of it. You get, so calling the hook, there's a minimum charge of X. And then from X, you go forward. So I'm not surprised it cost you $150. Very rarely do we ever call the actual hook. Mr. Beast 2.0. Wow, nice. I started working in a shop in 71. Shop rate was $8 an hour. Yeah. My one of my coworkers when I was in my early 20s, he worked summer jobs to put himself through college. He lived at home with his parents. He drove his mom and dad's cars, and he worked all summer long, and he took all of his pay and he didn't spend any of it, and he used that to put himself through school. And so he got himself a summer job working as a laborer for a mason. And the mason there in the 70s, he was making $7 an hour laying bricks in the 70s. Still going? Yeah, and yeah, we're Energizer Bunnies here. Yeah, holy crap. Almost 3 hours? Yeah, I might be shutting her down soon. Now I lost my train of thought. Could get a good steak. Ah, yes. So he was the bricklayer was making $7 an hour. He figured out what Steve was doing, and he goes, so you don't spend any money? He says, no. He's like, so your car? He goes, not my car, it's my mom and dad's. He's like, all money goes to tuition. And he's like, you're going to work for me for the whole season, or work for me until school starts? Yes, I'll work for you till school starts. He goes, if you come here every day on time, you work hard every day, he's like, I'll pay you the same rate as a regular laborer, which was $7 an hour. So he made insane money in the 70s. $7 an hour was bragging money. And he made that all summer to help, just so he had a little extra money for college. Pretty cool on that old Mason, huh? My train of thought has a coal shortage. Sometimes I do, and I get right back on subject. My mind works like lightning. One brilliant flash, and that's it. Just got warnings for 60-mile-an-hour winds, bad thunderstorms so far, tornado warnings 30 miles away, but closing had hail twice today, and they mentioned out for hail. Uptown for hail. Damn. Could have burned up last night? Wow. Did you have the electrical, probably something electrical, like a short or something? When them wires get that nice toasty look to them and that great smell, yeah. Keep the smoke in the wires, people. Keep the smoke in the wires. Fuel leaks are a real danger. They sure are. And we've all seen this, especially here in Michigan, home of the beaters. You got some guy or girl, the one that makes me laugh because it's got pieces of it were on shop truck. Like this is like 99, and she was driving a mid-80s 3/4 ton Dodge truck, and it's leaking fuel, the like a piss stream steady of fuel, and she's sitting there with her truck running, talking to me and puffing down a Marlboro with it pissing gas out. I'm like, you're leaking fuel. Yeah, it does that from time to time. The whole time she was sitting there talking to me, that thing was steadily leaking fuel. I'll bet you a quarter of a gallon leaked out in the time she talked to me. My friend ended up buying that truck, and parts of it are on shop truck now. In 71, the mechanics were making $3.25 an hour. That seemed good. Yeah, that sure did seem good. Because I'll bet you in 71, if you were pulling down $2.50, $2.75 an hour, that was decent wages. North Central Wisconsin. I want to go out to Wisconsin. I want to go to New Glarus and bring home some fresh spotted cow beer. Spotted cow. You should mail me some, Dr. G, or bring me, that's what you should do. I will gladly pay you if you bring me spotted cow beer to No Name Nationals, Dr. G. I'll love you forever, and I'll pay you for it. Please and thank you. I was making 10 cents more in 1982 washing dishes at Jed's Steakhouse. Jed's Steak and Ribs. My first job paid $4.25 an hour. My first two jobs paid $4.25 an hour. I detasseled corn for DeKalb. We got taken down to Schoolcraft, Michigan. They'd pick us up at our local high school. Then we go to another local high school, pick up more kids. And then we'd get taken down to the state line about an hour away. And then we'd walk through the fields. And then for the seed corn, you have rows of corn. And like every 7 rows of corn, you take the tassels out of the top of it. And then you'd leave a row alone. And then the cross-pollination made better ears of corn for better for making corn seed. And yeah, that was an interesting job. And then later in high school, I worked for a place that did rubber belting. We did vulcanization. And I earned myself a 75-cent raise. He half showed me something and got called away on a customer, and I finished it, and I come back, and he was so impressed that not only did he give me a 75-cent raise that day, he made it proactive. It was payday, and he had my paycheck wrote out for $5 an hour. So I got a pay raise that was effective last week. Man, I could have done cartwheels through the factory that day when he gave me my check. Running behind on the chats. I was the world's stupidest teenager. I done a lot better cutting grass. Smoked a hell of a lot of grass. Come to LaPorte, Indiana sometimes. Not Michigan, but getting closer. I don't know how much spotted cow can be transported. I'll have to check. It's a sad joke because I'm allergic to beer and I live in Wisconsin. Yeah. Back when corn was brewed, was actually normal and replanted itself. At least we got the storm earlier today. Have no fear. Mater is here. Wow. We got Texas here, y'all. Well, I think that I'm going to button her up at the 3-hour mark. So that's going to give us another 10 minutes to hang out, everybody. 3-hour live. That's a record so far for Wolverine Garage. 22 likes. Wow. This is awesome. Wisconsin. Oh my God. I hope you can. Wow, I'm old. My first job paid minimum wage. It was $1.78 an hour. And that was the money when it was woohoo. It went to $2.35. Mater's here. Let's shut it down. Yeah. Oh, we got Texans in here. Yeah, okay. Gotta go. Yeah, I've actually, the time has actually flown. I've actually had a really good time, and obviously y'all are too, and that just tickles me pink. Rockin' happening live. All right. Ooh, we could do Dougster After Dark. All you can see is my glasses. The reflection off my glasses. That's kind of creepy, isn't it? That's kind of cool. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Should get some nice hours after this. Oh, I completely forgot to mention in this live stream. That actually reminded me. We crossed the 300 subscriber mark. Where I'm actually like at 301 right now. If not, if a whole bunch of people punch the like our subscribe button, I won't know until after this wraps. But yeah, we're over 300 subscribers, and if you haven't seen my video on it, we're going to be taking a motorcycle ride this summer on the bike as a thanks. We're going to go 3 stops up Lake Michigan. We're going to go to the south of me, to South Haven, and we're coming up to another little beach, little special beach place I like to go. I'll show you that. And then we're going to go up north to Grand Haven, Coast Guard City, USA. Greg Abbott is an underrated hero. I am not knowing who Greg Abbott is off the top of my head. Yeah. Thanks, Dr. G. How far will I be on the scooter? Like mileage wise, I'd say it's probably going to be 40 minutes from my house to South Haven's, probably 40 minutes at least. And then it's probably going to be 40 an hour. If I made just the turn, like went from here to South Haven, went to the next place, and then went up to Grand Haven and home, I'd say it'd be 4 hours of road time, to be generous. But I'm gonna duff around, show you South Haven. It's a cool place, and then show you my little beach spot that you guys will really like. And then I'll take you up to Grand Haven, and that place is cool, especially when it's Coast Guard Festival time. And then all the Coast Guard ships come in and everything. That's way cool, especially when they come in. Dimebag's kin. I know who Dimebag is. I've heard rumblings about Abbott and Reno. It's a rhino. A rhino, huh? $280 miles in one day on the bike. Trying to think. My friend Freckle and I went to Fenton and back. I would say that was probably 300 miles at least. Eddie and I last summer, we rode. We left my place. We went to Cadillac, Michigan, to Lake Cadillac. And then we went from Lake Cadillac. We rode out west on M55 towards the lake shore. Then we got out on US 31. And then we went to Silver Lake for the sunset. And that was actually pretty cool. And then rode home. That was a great day. That was a fun day. Send them those who voted for their presidents. Brilliant. The most was $950 in 5 days. Huh? Yeah, the Silver Lake is a really neat place. It is a big sand dune. And Silver Lake lays almost on Lake Michigan shoreline. So it's this humongous sand dune, and it's an off-road park. Neverboard knows all about it. But yeah, you get your RV sticker and you can go play in the sand, and you can get right out and get these you can play on the dunes and get these real scenic views of Lake Michigan from the motorsports park. It's actually pretty cool. And some guys have got some serious dough tied up in their sand toys. Oh my gosh. It ain't nothing to see, $90,000 in motion. Yeah. A friend of mine, Rick, he's got this absolutely monstrous dune buggy that makes some serious power. And he's an old drag racer. And I said to Rick, hey, why don't you put some street tires on that buggy of yours and bring it down to the drag strip and just slay people? And he goes, I can't do that. I go, what do you mean? The thing doesn't weigh nothing. It's got like a gazillion horsepower. What do you mean you can't do it? You would slay people on the track. He goes, the transmission's not built for that. Hooking it, he says, I hook it once, it's done. I hit a rock, he says, it's done. He goes, it's made to spin, supposed to play in the sand. Oh, sorry, we reconnected. I don't know how much of that you missed. You Michiganders have some damn cool stuff up there. Ohio has nothing like that sand. Can't believe that there's sand in Michigan. There's a lot of sand in Michigan. Oh yeah, a lot of sand. That's all that's basically here in my house is sand. Indiana friend, if my hand is back to normal, I may ride into No Name 25. I wish you would, Mater. I'd love to shake your hand. That'd be cool. My Indiana friend would go up to Silver Lake 40 years ago. A friend built a hill rail with a snowmobile motor and variable clutches. Bam, gone. No dropout here. Okay, good. It showed me reconnection for some reason, Buff. Okay, cool. Yeah, bam, gone for sure. We get some cool stuff down here in Ohio. Headed to bed, so have a good night. Bye, Mater. Yeah, I've got a little less than a minute to go before I'm wrapping it up too. Pulling the plug on it, even though we're having ourselves a mighty good time, unfortunately. All good things must come to an end. We have that happen in our lives sometimes. Variable dropout here, but Mom and Dad put their feet down. Oh, and the 15% light just come on my phone, so hey, this is working out to my advantage. Well, it's almost time. So, everyone, thank you for tuning in to... Oh, Jim, you too. Thank you for tuning in to my live stream. Had a blast, everyone. Come see me next Monday, and we'll do it all over again. So, tune in. Same Dougster time, same Dougster channel. Bye, everyone.